Okay, so some people always ask, people always ask about my settings when it comes to like keybinds and whatnot. So we're gonna go over those. First thing I'm gonna preface that by, really the best way to set up keybinds is to tailor it to yourself over time. Like as you start playing and from your experience, you start figuring out what you like, what you don't like. Okay, I'd probably benefit from having my grenades on this button. I like to crouch spam a lot, so I'm gonna put my crouch on a button like this so that it's it's in a spot where I can do that. Those sort of things. Not saying that's what I do. I'm just saying that's how you want to build it up over time. So let's go to mouse and keyboard. So I play on a 2.3 cents, 400 DPI. People always ask me, Viss, what's the perfect sense? How do I find the perfect sense to play on? Here's the deal when it comes to sensitivity, all right? Here's the deal. If I was a brand new player to PC, I'd give myself this advice. This is the advice I give myself. I would find a DPI and sensitivity that's going to work for both close range and far range. What's that likely mean, right? Means in close range, you want it to still have fast enough DPI and sense that you're going to be able to track people moving very quickly. Some games, right, like Apex, like a Wraith in close range, they're moving back and forth super fast. You need to still be able to track them. You don't need to make super big movements to be able to follow them, right? Now this depends on like person to person, like how well you can track people depending on how much mouse movement you're doing. But anywhere between like a 400 to an 1000 DPI, and then finding like a relatively good sensitivity in the game to make it so that you can still be precise at long distance, but you're still fast enough to be able to track people in close distance. That's really what you want. And then from there, in my opinion, you stick with that same sensitivity across all your games, and you build up that muscle memory with the sense. And then over time, you're getting better. You don't want to be this person that's like, I'm swapping my sense today, swapping my sense today, new week, swapping my sense, because you're never building up that muscle memory. You're not getting used to anything. It's like you're used to a slow sense, then you go to a higher sense. Now you're like overshooting everything, or you're undershooting something. If you're going from like high to low, you just want to build up muscle memory over time. That's what it's about, all right? It becomes just a reaction. And how you can do that across multiple games, there's different websites. Sometimes I use mousesense.com, where you like put in all the figures and it'll give you a sensitivity in the other game that you can use. Or you can go really simple and you could get a ruler out and you could go in the game. You could put the ruler sideways across your mouse pad. You aim at an object. You'd want to do this like both aimed in and unaimed. And then like see how far you have to go across your mouse pad to do a 360. All right, and then that way, or like maybe it's a 180, depending on how you're playing and the size of your mouse pad and what you prefer. But that way you can pretty much match the sensitivity pretty closely across all games. And then when you play those other games, you're always playing in the same sense. But the thing to realize here, you want to get something, like I said, that's going to work for both close range, long range. And you have to consider, like, if you're playing a game like PUBG, often it's like not the case, except like maybe when a car is driving by you that you're going to really need to track something moving very fast next to you, right? And it's like you got those precise movements at range because like you want to be able to make little small movements because you might be shooting at someone at 500 meters with a sniper in PUBG. But then if you go and play a game like Overwatch or Rainbow Six Siege, where it's like very much a thing about flick shotting or like fast movements in close quarters, like in Rainbow Six, you might go into a room and the dude's playing in a corner, like you check one corner and you need to be able to flip around fast enough still to be able to shoot a guy like aiming at you from another corner, or fast enough to be able to like flick across your screen, right? So that's why like finding a middle ground and getting used to that, probably a good idea. You have to do that? No, but that's where I would probably start. And then, of course, if there ever came a time, maybe you play with that for a long time, and you realize, I think I need my sensitivity to be just a little bit faster or a little bit slower, then you can make that adjustment and build up with that, and it's not going to be a big difference. But really, it's about getting used to something and building that muscle memory up. Obviously, you don't want to have mouse acceleration on. Also, in your Windows settings, this affects some games. Some games take raw mouse input, but even those games that take raw mouse input, I have noticed that there's sometimes a problem when you have enhanced pointer precision checked in your Windows mouse settings. You want to have that unchecked because that also causes input lag, mouse acceleration, etc. Mouse acceleration, basically what that does is if you were to move your mouse 4 inches to the right slowly, right, compared to 4 inches to the right quickly or faster, when you move it faster, your mouse would go further. You don't want that. You want it so that whenever you move your mouse 4 inches, it always goes the same distance, whether you go fast or slow, all right? So that's what mouse acceleration does. Obviously, you don't want to really be playing with an inverted mouse unless you're a psychopath. I have lighting effects off. You could have that on or off. Doesn't really matter to me when it comes to that. Okay, let's go over settings. Let's see things that have actually changed. So my crouch for I have my toggle crouch on left control. So whenever I want to stay crouched, I hit my left control button. All right, you don't have to do this, but this is how I do it. When I have, and then I have crouch hold on C. That's the crouch that I'm hitting most often. When I play, I have my thumb positioned on my C button, and then my thumb knuckle is basically like over my space bar. So if I want to jump, I kind of push down with the side of my thumb. If I want to crouch, I push down with the tip of my thumb, right? This allows me to be able to like spam my crouch really quickly if I want to, or like makes it very easy to just run and like crouch jump, or crouch or slide and then jump out of the slide. My tacticals default, ultimates default, interact pickup. I swapped that to F. The reason I swapped that to F is because I was used to playing PUBG, so I was used to just picking stuff up in PUBG with F. So I just keep it the same across games. Whenever I'm gonna be like performing an action or picking something up, I like it just to have it on F. That way I'm just used to it, right? You just see like it's all about just building up muscle memory or like a habit across games, basically. For me, is how I like to do it. So inventory is tab, maps M. Changed fire mode to H. You don't have to do this. This is what I had in like PUBG, so I just swapped it to H, so I'm used to it. I prefer aim down sight with hold. Main reason I prefer hold to toggle is usually like in the game your reactions are a little bit better with it. Just like you can pop out around a corner and you just go to hold, you're immediately aiming in. When you don't want to be aiming in, you just let go. I feel like it has benefits just being a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a little bit quicker, and it just seems to be more effective when fighting in and out of cover and whatnot. My melee, I think V is default, right? Cycle weapon. So I thought I honestly had this unbound. I don't know how it got bound again, but I do not like cycling weapons with my mouse wheel. The reason is because like it's so easy to hit your mouse wheel in the middle of a fight and mess you up. So I prefer using the numbers. So I got my main weapon on 1, 2, etc. Holster weapon on 3. I don't like it because it's just like, man, you could be in the middle of a fight, accidentally hit your mouse wheel, and then boom, your weapon changes. It screws you over, man. Like, it's very easy, like, getting caught off guard or something to accidentally just barely bump your mouse wheel, and then your weapon swaps. I just don't like that at all. You could obviously then change your mouse wheel to something else. Like, some people like to set it as an alternative way to fire their gun, so that, like, single shot guns, they just, like, scroll their mouse wheel, and they're able to fire really, really fast. Grenade I have on my back button on my mouse, my backside button on my mouse. I just like having grenades on the mouse because it feels a fast, effective way to get grenades off. I use the health wheel, so I use 4 to heal. So something I did do here is ping enemy. I put it on E, so it's fast, or just easier for me just to slide my finger off of D to E to ping where enemies are. But the thing is you can double click ping with your middle mouse button and ping an enemy that way as well. So you could free up this E key if you wanted to something else. But I feel like that is a pretty good. I push to talk on T. Typically, I'm not using push to talk in game. When I'm playing with randoms, I do. Having on T can be an easy button for me to use. But I'll also My main push-to-talk button for Discord is my front mouse button. So whenever I need to talk, I just can move my thumb barely to that front mouse button, and I'll be able to talk then. Makes it easy to get off, you know, anything that I need to say to my teammates, even in the middle of the fight. I can just barely move my thumb on my front mouse button, and we're good to go. So yeah, there you go. That's keybinds and everything. The reason I use them. Most of them are just default. Some things are changed just a little bit so that it's kind of tailored more to what I like. So the big thing is, like, you could use the same keybinds as me, but the big thing is to, as you play over time, like, kind of change stuff up and tailor it to you about what's going to help you best and how you like to play the game. FOV. I play on 96 FOV. When it comes to all these settings, dude, like, there's nothing, like, most of these I'm playing on high. I like my game to look good for the stream. I have a good enough PC that I'm going to get good FPS. Could I maybe change some of these things up and get better FPS out of it? Yes. Without making the game look that much worse? Probably. But, like, I just don't really care about that stuff. If you're looking anywhere for, like, settings like this to try to get the absolute best FPS you can, I would just look for some other guide. Because I'm not someone that really cares about it. Why is it not on 8? There was, like, some issue in the game with texture streaming being put all the way up. So I just lowered it down to 4. There's, like, it used to be a problem. It was causing, like, me to get disconnected from the server. Or, like, out of sync. They might have fixed it by now. But I just put it back down to 4 because that's what I had it at before. You could have it at 8. There's not a reason that I put it to 4. So when people ask me, like, bro, what are your settings? Like, man, there's not really a big rhyme or reason for my actual video settings. One big thing that you want to do, though, this sprint view shake, you want to turn that to minimal. This is basically head bob. Head bob's, like, you know, as you're running around, can make you motion sick. Can make, you know, just like your screen jarring around. It makes it, like, harder a little bit to focus and be able to see things. You want to move that to minimal so it's not as much. But, yeah, outside of that, that's it, man. That's my settings. Obviously, I do have VSync turned off. That is something that I typically do. VSync, typically turn it off. Helps with FPS, but that could depend on you and your monitor. I think if you had like a 60 hertz monitor, you might want to keep it on. I'm not sure.